Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Mayhem Country Living and Mayhem Preparedness. Two different channels on YouTube. Also, be sure to come and subscribe to us on the free and liberty-minded group lbry.tv or odyssey.com. Look up Mayhem Country Living and Mayhem Preparedness and you'll find us there. Hope you come along. I want to read a video response to someone who I have been talking with back and forth for quite a while, several years now, through YouTube, and I feel like we've become friends and we are kindred spirits. This gentleman is older than me, I believe. I've never met him, but we have talked back and forth via the interwebs quite a few times, and I'm reading one of his responses to something I had posted about my Liberty Has Fallen video, and as to what our grandparents would do in response to all the silly, stupid crap that is going on, what they would do. And you know, they would take their belt off and they'd whip some people's asses, and then what would they do? And he writes these wonderful comments, and I asked him for permission, so he has given me permission to respond and to talk about any of the comments he has made. And thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. And this video is for you, Lee. And he goes into detail just talking about his grandparents, and he says his and I'm going to read this, so excuse me, I won't be looking at the camera. There's Crow. Grandparents lived through World War I. My parents lived through the Great Depression and World War II. He says, I remember the Korean War. I also remember quite well when every school day began with a prayer and a pledge to the American flag. Civics classes were taught in high school along with home economics and shop classes. It was an honor to register to vote when I turned 21. Yes, 21. The 26th Amendment passed that in 1971. It came a few years later. Don't worry, don't have words to describe the changes in society and politics since I became old enough to realize and observe the changes taking place. When young people graduated from high school, they knew how to do stuff besides making signs or carrying signs made by others for protesting. Sometime after I graduated, classes for sewing machines and lathes were replaced with keyboards and who knows what else. I do remember that shop classes became too dangerous. Don't remember the excuse for no longer teaching how to boil potatoes, though. How about that? What would our grandparents have done? My grandmother would have continued to make lye soap. Both grandfathers would have continued to make lard, and lard more than likely would come from hogs if they'd had them. Guineas? I think guineas were a heritage hog breed, really well known for their fat, or lard rather, down here in south central United States. One of them would have turned hardwood ashes into lye for her soap made from his lard. I learned by watching parents and grandparents work together through hard times. I learned to work a garden when I was old enough to carry a hoe. When family came to visit on Sunday afternoons in summer, they always left with a mess, that's in parentheses, a mess of something. A mess, for you guys who aren't quite familiar with it, is a big handful of it. You could usually put it in a paper sack, and if you put it in a paper sack, then it could be called a poke. Would you like to take home a poke of turnip greens with you? I hadn't washed them yet, so you need to wash them good before you cook them. There you go. If they had excess of anything, they brought it to us if they knew we could use it. I learned from grandparents and parents to do the best we could with what we had. Welfare was for people who couldn't do any better. Think about that, guys. Welfare was for people who couldn't do any better. It was still there, and it would get you over it, but then you got off of it and got back into the swing of things. Was taught that for as long as possible that we could, therefore should do better. No one was entitled to anything except life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For what it's worth, I ate many a meal of dried black-eyed peas, big lima beans, and fried cornbread. That's called hoe cake, H-O-E cake. Down here in the South is what we call it. I'm actually getting hungry thinking about it. Mama canned and froze vegetables after she got a freezer. Daddy salt-cured pork. Mama made butter. We had ice-cold buttermilk to go with meals straight from the garden. That sounds good. At my age and health problems, there's much of what I learned from those before me that I can no longer do. I can't butcher hogs, for example, yet the example they set can still be followed. While at the grocery store yesterday, I picked up 4 more cans of Hereford roast beef, a couple of cans of evaporated milk, and a few more bags of frozen vegetables. Next time I see it on sale, I'll buy a few more pounds of butter. Then I'll turn it into ghee, shelf-stable butter. For those that don't know, ghee, G-H-E-E, is clarified butter, and it is shelf-stable and will last for years. You can make it yourself. You can also buy it. It's kind of expensive. Yes, they taught me how to stand by and watch the truck go past. Watched hailstorms take our crops out. I watched hurricanes flood our fields. Watched news of riots burning down communities not far from ours. I lived through interest rates at 11% for mortgages. I waited in line on alternate days to buy a few gallons of gasoline. The list goes on. Today I'm thankful that I learned much of what my grandparents and grandparents did. And what do you do? How do you respond to that? Other than they did a good job raising you, Lee. They done good. So guys, that is a video response from something that I had written about Liberty Has Fallen, which I think it has. Leave your comments below. Give me some thoughts and suggestions as to if you would like to continue to hear these, and even if some people don't like me and they post intelligent responses about how wrong I am, I'm not opposed. I'm thick-skinned enough. I will read them online. I don't care. But I also wanted to mention a couple of people, and I don't think I can find it because I had a list. Tom Reed, I have enjoyed the conversations with you, and very interesting, and I agree with a lot of the stuff that you say, and I too am doing a lot of the stuff, but we can't talk about too much of it for a whole lot of people. We might do that on the other channel, on Mayhem Preparedness. We get a little more in-depth and adult on that channel. Take care of you people, guys.